Chapter 19, March 19th. Money saved, $150.77. My list of things I owed Mom was getting pretty long, so I didn't want to use any more of her printer toner unless I really had to. Luckily, students can use the color printer in the main office at school for free. You're only supposed to print a single copy of something, but no one watches you. About a month ago, I made 100 copies of a picture instead of just one copy, just by accidentally pressing a couple of zeros. So when I went to my dog walking flyers, no one noticed I made 36 copies. It also helped that I had copies at the end of the day when everyone just wanted to go home. I think those office people got more excited about the school bell than the kids did. Armed my pile of color flyers, I went to go get my backpack out of my locker. Like always, I tried to avoid staring at those stupid Lexi tutorial signs on the wall, but I still peeked just a little. But I immediately noticed something different about them. I stopped, frozen. It was a horrifying sight, a vision I thought might creep into my brain and give me spine-chilling nightmares for a week. I stared at a wall of glitter, but they weren't Lexi's tutoring signs on the walls. These were new. A dozen giant poster boards lined the hallway, each screaming the message, "Vote for Smote. Carly Smote for student body president." I didn't want anything against Carly. I knew she was sort of, but I stared at the caked on glitter, the fancy lettering, the immaculate detailed picture of a goat. "Don't be a goat. Vote for Smote." That didn't make a whole lot of sense, but the goat picture was pretty impressive. There was only one person who could have made these posters, Lexi. As I plodded down the hall, gasping, gapping at every sign, I heard voices from around the corner. I recognized the evil voice of Lexi. I stopped listening. I wasn't eavesdropping, though. It's never okay to eavesdrop. I was spying. There's a big difference. "These signs are really good," said a boy's voice. "Thanks," laughed Lexi. "They were a lot of work. How much is she paying for?" I shouldn't say.
I'll double it. I need signs like those. I don't know. I promised Carly I'd help her out, said Lexi. I'll triple the price. I'd help out, said Lexi. I'll triple the price. You have yourself a deal. As the sounds of the footsteps faded away, I stood in my spot, fuming, sign making. That must have been the new money-making idea Lexi mentioned at dinner. I looked down at my 36 pathetic copy paper-sized flyers. I had little time before walking my first dog walking appointment. I urged back to the office, making more copies. Malcolm stopped over at my house in between dog walking jobs, and he bragged at lunch about his soccer juggling, and I'd bet him $10 I could beat him blindfolded. I was a soccer star, not him. I could use all the extra cash I could get. I was in a good mood despite the dog party debacle, because we got our self-reward test back and I got a D, which means I didn't flunk. But then after Mrs. Swift asked me if anything was wrong, I needed my... She absolutely unquestionably sure Abraham Lincoln didn't live at the Gettysburg. She said she was absolutely sure. Watch this fancy dribbling. I boomed to Malcolm in my backyard, and I bounced the ball on my right knee, and then it hit my chin and bounced away. Impressive, Jared Malcolm, and then kneed the ball back and forth from one foot to the other. He juggled and juggled and juggled and juggled and juggled. Up and down, over and back. "You owe me $10. I shook my head. I said I could beat you blindfolded, but we don't have a blindfold, so I guess we'll never know. Saved by a technicality. You could lose your eyes. Not the same thing at all. Malcolm still juggled and juggled. He kicked up his foot and then back to his knee and then performed a nice fake wave with one foot before spinning it up with the other. I should never have taught him that move. Show off, I spat. I could beat you with 2 legs tied behind my back, you know. I crowed, trying to act confident, but I didn't feel confident at all. How is that even possible, he asked. Really? Both your legs tied behind you? What would you kick with? Okay, well maybe not both legs then, I admitted. One leg. I could beat you with one leg tied behind my back. Still impossible. What are you going to stand on when you kick? Well, I can still beat you with nothing tied. I think your brain is tied, laughed Malcolm. This entire time he still juggled. The ball never hit the ground, and it was really annoying. I knew it wasn't his fault. He was better than me at everything these days. Well, maybe it was his fault. He could miss a few soccer kicks at practice to make me feel better, or at least one. And he didn't have to be such a show-off, and maybe he would help me more if I had more money and I wouldn't be almost flunking my classes. I walked over and showed him. Then the ball bounced away. What did you do for that? I shrugged. I have to go inside and get ready for my next appointment. Malcolm checked his watch. We have a minute. I'm in charge, and I say we don't. You're in charge of time, asked Malcolm. Like father time? Exactly, I grunted. I am the lord and master of all that time is related, and all things dog walking related too. Don't forget that. My business, you just work for me.
Malcolm picked up the ball. You're getting a little bossy, he huffed, as he fouled the ball inside my house. I am the boss, I snapped. What else would I be? I don't know. Nice? Bosses aren't nice, I retorted. Don't you watch TV? Bakery bosses, dance bosses, restaurant bosses, all mean. That's the way things get done. I stomped upstairs to my room, and Malcolm followed. I grabbed a stack of flyers from school and shoved them at him. Now, I need you to go around town and post these signs up after the dog party debacle. I needed more customers. I spoke in the best boss voice and got a move on it. I'm the organizer and the money guy, not the sign taper. Malcolm folded his arms and didn't reach for my flyers. You are what I say you are. I'm in charge, remember? I thrust the stack at him again, but he didn't grab it. You could at least say please. Bosses never say please or thank you. They just say do this and you're fired. I thought Malcolm knew a lot about economics, but apparently he didn't know how business works at all. Or do you want me to just go around showing off your soccer moves instead? I barked. What does this mean? You know, I hissed. Well, I'm not putting up your stupid signs. They are not stupid. What does this say? I demanded. I jabbed the paper with my finger. Malcolm squinted and read, I'll walk your dog and clean up too, even if he goes number 2. Pretty good, huh? But that's not what I was pointing to. No, below it, I snarled. Malcolm looked more closely at my flyer. You ought to call Otto's dog walking service. Exactly. Otto. Me. Your name is not here. I jumped the page harder. We talked about this. This is my business. What I say goes. Does it say you ought to call Otto and a stupid and lame assistant Malcolm's dog walking service? No, it doesn't. I don't care. I'm still not putting up signs, he crossed his arm. And you're stupid and lame. You're a mold-faced brain drain, I replied, crossing my arms too. Only I crossed mine a little higher. You're an IQ challenge wombat. You're an empty-headed vacuum head. You're a mulch-breathing, hamster-eating, vomit-brain swimming in stink. You know what the worst part of the insult? He didn't even smile when he said it. Well, so are you, I sputtered.
You know what? I don't need your stupid 20%. Just forget it. I quit. Malcolm wheeled around and headed toward the door. You can't quit. You're fired, I yelled back. I'd rather keep your half of the money anyway. 20% is not half, hollered Malcolm as he reached the front door. Says you. No, says the math world. Malcolm slammed the door behind him. Who needs a show-off like him anyway? All I needed was a dog, and I didn't want any help or even a stupid best friend. A dog was a man's best friend, and when I win this challenge, I'd have my own best friend jumping and licking me. Dogs don't insult you, and they never ever quit their jobs. You're late, barked Coach Drago, looking at his watch. It really wasn't my fault. Mitzi, the German Shepherd, just wouldn't go to the bathroom. Some of these dogs are way too choosy about where they poop. You'd think every swatch of the lawn was the same. Then when Mitzi finally squatted, I realized that I left my plastic cleanup bags at home. So we had to run really fast, and no one saw us, but some poor family was trying to find a surprise on their lawn. I felt a little bad, but what was I supposed to do? I put it in my pocket, but at least I'd show up to practice. Coach should have been happy to see me, but he didn't act like it. I've been so busy, I explained. You need to be here. You need to be on time. If you're not committed to this team, I'll play kids who are. Yes, Coach, I know, Coach, but I said, frowning, so he knew I was serious. But I have a good reason. Do you like dogs or cats? Cats. Why? Never mind. Malcolm frowned at me, but I returned it even with a nastier frown on my own. Why'd we sure? But I'd return it with an even nastier frown on my own. I'd show him my awesome soccer talents, and he'd see I wasn't the boss of him just in the business world, but on the playing field too. It was about time I put him in his place. I joined the line for shooting drills, and the team that was already practicing them, it was pretty simple. Take a pass, one dribble, and shoot. Otto, what are you doing? Yelled Coach. My shot bounced meekly to the left and then about 10 feet away from the goal. Sorry, I mumbled. The bench needs more bench warmers. Yes, Coach. Sorry. Hold him back. Malcolm was next, and he buried his shot into the top corner of the net. It wasn't even slight bad. Where did that come from? That's how it's done, yelled Coach Drago, clapping. Nice shot. Eric Lansing, our midfielder, then ran up, dribbled, and kicked a laser into the back of the net. Beautiful kick, shouted our coach. I stood in line waiting for my next turn. Malcolm was in the back of me. You don't think Coach really would bench me, do you? I grumbled. I think Coach should play the guys who show up to practice on time, and he turned his back to talk to Kyle Krovich, completely ignoring me. Soon it was my turn again, and I concentrated as hard as I could. I stared laser beams into that ball, and then I stutter-stepped and kicked more mightily than anyone had ever kicked a ball before in the world's history of soccer kicking. I imagined the ball ripping through the net, leaving Malcolm's and Coach Drago's mouth open in awed wonder. I missed the ball completely. I waved my arms like a chicken, practically a clumsy chicken, before toppling over and landing on my butt. Coach Drago didn't say anything, but he wasn't smiling either. I didn't even look at Malcolm. I'm pretty sure he, on the other hand, smiled broadly. I sat at the kitchen table after dinner, and Lexi was in her room. Which is where she'd been all afternoon. So with the doors, she closed. She was probably making signs that very moment. The downstairs was dark except for the light over my head shining down on the math worksheets in front of me. I needed to catch up on my schoolwork, but my eyes were heavy and the numbers on the pages kept blurring together. Maybe if I had listened in class, I would know what I was supposed to do, but I found the way at the end of the day to be much faster if I doodled dog pictures. I was getting pretty good at them. If we had a dog doodling test at school, I'd probably get an A. But here at the kitchen table, I just wanted to sleep. Dog walking, soccer practice, it was all exhausting. I stood up, opened the refrigerator, and took a bottle of horseradish. I dipped my finger in the jar and then plunged it in my mouth. Every nerve in my body jumped up in shocked disgust at the horror of spice-filled yuckiness swept through my throat. I grabbed a glass and filled it with water, but even after gulping it down and a second glass too, the terrible taste coated on my tongue in such sheer, folded thickness that I was worried and the pungent, hortish flavor might last forever. But it did wake me up. Mission accomplished. Mom drinks coffee to wake herself up, but I should tell her about the horseradish trick. I finished one side of my math homework first, although I'm not sure the answers were exactly right. I didn't completely understand the radius concept, but at least there were answers on the page. I turned the worksheet over to begin side 2. I didn't want to think about any more worksheets I still had to get through tonight, and I still needed my assignments in language arts. The horseradish taste faded away after a few minutes, and so did my wakefulness. I don't remember my dream exactly, but I do remember a cat yelling at me about being late, and Coach Drago purring on my lap. Lexi was laughing, and Malcolm was just juggling jars of horseradish on his feet. I'm unsure how long I slept, but when I woke up, I found my head lying on the worksheet and the rest of the house fast asleep. I sighed and took a complete stab in the dark as in the area of a circle. Lexi didn't have to worry about her grades. That always came easy for her. She didn't face the problems I did. She was good at everything. It wasn't fair. I blamed Dad and Mom. But that was just another reason why it was crucial that I won this war. I needed to show her and Mom. And I even guessed myself. But then I was better than Lexi at something important. I sighed and turned my attention once again to the worksheets, trying to remember what the difference was between a circumference and a diameter. I had no idea. Maybe I would remember after I took another nap on the kitchen table. A big yawn crept out of my mouth. As my eyes closed, I noticed my soccer cleats in the middle of the floor. I needed to put them away as soon as I woke up. The end.